preparing the live stream. I will tell my colleagues. Yes, hello everyone. Welcome to our first session of Rethinking Plastic, Talking with Designers. We are now in the middle of Dutch Design Week, actually our second day of Dutch Design Week. And so we would like in these live sessions through the week get introduced to designers who are presenting at ICSI Expo and who will join us, and we can ask them some questions and also get to know them better and also know about their process and how actually why they were selected for the Thinking Plastic exhibition as well. I would like to start with Mona. It's actually a nice combination because me and Mona together we studied at the same university, University of Applied Arts in Vienna. And Mona, welcome.
Hi.
I'm really glad that you are with us today, and I would be really happy to know more about your project, New Culture. And we saw a wonderful movie and really beautiful colors that you are able to create with biodegradable materials. But please tell us more about it. I'm really curious.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for this opportunity and noticing my project. And I will just now quickly share my screen.
Yes.
Okay, can you see?
Yes, yeah.
Perfect. So my idea is that we need a new social behavior towards disposable packaging and disposable materials. So new culture don't only stand for sustainable material research, but also a need for this new change. So I ask myself a question: why is disposable packaging made of polluting materials at the first place? And why this something that is disposable, something that should be used only once, is made out of material that stay in the same shape and form for many years? And why something that is single use is not made of in a way of a single use material as well, so that it doesn't pollute earth when decomposing on being thrown away, but rather enrich the soil, or even if it ends up in ocean, that it doesn't pollute it. Because I found a really big gap that even materials that are fully recyclable, these recycling systems are not perfect, and sometimes for taking a pre-selected materials to recycling facilities costs new resources and new economical resources also, that again harm environment. So I thought, why new material is not degrading by itself with no extra needed treated or to be treated, or similar way of self-decomposing. So I came across SCOBY, and SCOBY is heavily used in fashion industry. And SCOBY is symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast that is mostly famous for growing and fermented liquid of black tea that is called kombucha. And I found this material really fascinating and interesting, and I wanted to try to work myself with it, and I tried to make it. And first I put a perfect amount of black tea, water, sugar, and this SCOBY that is also called mother of kombucha, and let it grow. And of course I immediately saw its limitations. So it took 2 to 3 weeks to grow, and once it was dried, it was really fragile and easy to break. It wasn't easy to use it. It wasn't easy to make it industrialized in a way. So I researched a bit more about the different type of SCOBY. For example, I came across a vinegar. That vinegar is also produced by fermentation and has its own mother of vinegar. And that mother of vinegar is completely opposite of kombucha mother. It's not compact. It's usually in pieces. it's completely different. So I thought, what if I make a hybrid combining kombucha madder with madder of vinegar, and to see if it that change features that I need. So what I did, I put good of basic amount of black tea, sugar, and water, mother of kombucha, but this time I put also a good amount of vinegar. And I was surprised to see that it took only 1 week to grow, which is a heavily reduced amount of time to grow a kombucha. And this hybrid actually matter, and I had in big enough thickness to dry it and to end up in 1 to 2 millimeters thickness, and it was flexible. It was a bit stretchable, but it also, I noticed, it's a bit adhesive. So it this base liquid was dictating features of the end material, and I found it really interesting. And I developed a couple of recipes, as I would like to call it, so that at the end I have features that I need. So if I put more kombucha black tea fermented, I would have more rigid, more solid material. But if I put more vinegar inside, I would have this a bit more adhesive and elastic type of material. So after I was happy with the recipes I got, and I was happy with the features it had, I wasn't happy with its visual look, and I wanted to see how I can make it look more appealing, because I'm designer in the way. And I thought, okay, why I don't try a more experimental way also of decorating it. So I started with oxidation, and I took a basic iron mesh that I put on this new hybrid SCOBY, and it oxidated, and it made this, it transferred basically the mesh and how the mesh size and everything one to one to Scoopy, and found it really interesting. But I continue on, and I wanted to grow and try out what if it grows in other fermented liquids like red beets liquids, that is also a byproduct, and it did grow in it, and made a different features. It wasn't a bit compact, but with a bit of work, I also wanted to use that byproduct of producing fermented red beets. Also, I tried stamping on it while it was wet. I put stamp, and once it's got dried, it remained this pattern of a stamp, and try different type of feeding it. So not only maybe basic sugar like white sugar, but also brown sugar or a protein also inside, to see how it grows, and that all affected its end features. So I think it has a big potential of different recipes and different way of producing them nowadays basic materials. So this is some pieces that they came up with at the end. First one with the French fries inside was the one with the most kombucha liquid, and I put this shape to dry in this form, and it remained once it was dry, because this kombucha liquid made it more rigid and more solid. Second one that I made out of sheet of material, I just fold it in a way to be a cup, and I glue it with its own feature because it's adhesive and it didn't need any extra glues. And the last one is just piece itself with also a bit more vinegar, and to show how it's flexible. I use also food colors to color it because they're less harmful than dyes that are used for fabrics or other materials. And those two down pictures also, the first one is also dried in this shape. I put just on a mesh, and it dried in this spheric shape. And the other one is the one I decorated with iron mesh. And I think that is the interesting part of this material, because you can get just different features by growing it and drying it at the end. So these are and sheets of material that I came up with. I of course continue experimenting with different colors, with patterns, how I can make stamps on it, how it behaves after a couple of months, how it becomes once it degraded, and because this is completely natural material, it doesn't harm environment in any way. In fact, it actually once um, insects or other animals that can be found on the ground um, digest it, it doesn't harm them. In fact, it's some type of food as well for soil and animals. So yeah, with that, that's how that's my work, and that's I want to thank you for your attention, and thank you again for this opportunity. So
Thank
I'm
you, Mona.
curious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fascinating research. I'm really, yeah, let's say when I first saw the samples, I was really curious, like to see how can, because what sparkled, let's say, my imagination that you can create all these beautiful textures and pattern on this material. But now that you told me that it's actually a living creature that you can shape and form, let's say, in different with different patterns and also apply different color agents, it's really nice. I'm curious, did you do it, let's say, because it's almost for me like in a chemistry lab experiments. How did you come across, let's say, this scientific part of it? So like,
Well, I'm mostly as a designer interested in more experimental ways of designing, and I thought I would have to look into more biological researches if I want to make something that is degradable, because for me it wasn't enough to just look pretty. Of course, I'm stand for it, and I think has to be appealing for eye because that's what attracts attention in the first place. But I wanted to make something, and I wanted to at least shift with my research importance to something that it should help our environment. And with that, I looked into scientific researchers, of course. That wasn't
but
really easy.
did you, let's say, you were looking into the published papers, let's say, or you
Yes.
also collaborated with research universities?
I'm
Have plans, let's say, to what are your future plans, let's say, with this project?
Well, I started with just reading scientific researches because I had to understand myself first how it functions. But of course, I don't have fully knowledge in science or biology, so I would definitely like to make a future collaboration with something to make it at a further level. Because now it just how I started. This is my idea, and I would definitely need. As somebody that is in a biological or scientific field to direct me in a way how it can be easier produced or how are some other rules in this
Hmm.
field. So,
And what I was also curious, you mentioned in the beginning that the inspiration with the growing kombucha and this, yeah, let's say, you call it a symbiotic culture.
mhm.
It starts from the fashion inspiration.
Mhm.
Where do you see application for your material?
I mostly see as disposable packaging for food or for example, when we buy order something online, it always comes in this plastic wraps, which have been thrown away at the end. And I think I mostly seen that type of product, something that is used just for one shipment,
Mm-hmm.
and or for example, big companies or big food companies have or coffee shops have this to-go cups that are placed always shipped wrapped in plastic, and maybe if they're wrapped in such a material that will cause less damage to our earth, and that also it doesn't need to be a fully used out of this material, but it can be, for example, this single cup wrapped in this because they're also wrapped in single
Yeah.
plastic, and then overall can be one plastic sheet, but it's already decreasing amount of plastic that is used, or even paper, because paper is also not fully sustainable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I also like that in the past you could see the first, let's say, researches on the biodegradable material that they all have
Mhm.
this not very appealing color. It's a little like skin color, a little bit, let's say, dirty. I don't know. But what I really like is that you used, let's say, the food colorants, but also this idea of oxidation, that it can create these very bright colors, which are sometimes also needed, let's say, from perspective of, let's say, food packaging and appealing of the product itself. So it's really cool. Yeah. I know, Mona, that unfortunately you cannot be present, let's say, personally, but if you would give a message, let's say, for let's say, community who is looking us online, what would be your message about today, this strange Corona times, let's say? How do you think it will change us when we will be hopefully over it? And what can you say for young designers who are now, let's say, have also struggles and
Well, I think for me personally, I got to understand how virtual knowledge is really important, how using programs, how that is opening a new door, definitely. And I think it's different type of designing. It's definitely something that I think immediately when I design how it's going to be presented virtually, or how it will have impact even through computer. I think that is different but interesting field also to look into, and definitely not the best way to start with pandemic, but also a way that we have to think for the future, that it won't be one-on-one always, and in some way it's good, but in another way we're sad that this pandemic happened and we cannot be all together.
Yes, yeah. I really hope that guys who are looking at us today and also later, that you can get in touch with Mona, and maybe, who knows, our big community will also bring knowledge and exchange knowledge. So I hope we can stay online, stay healthy, and keep watching us to the next live streams. Mona, thank you so much for an impressive, inspiring presentation today. I wish you good luck, and hope to see you in Eindhoven in the next Dutch Design Week. So just come over to see us. Yeah.
Thank you so much for invitation. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.